Hi, everybody, and welcome to Nerd News Now. It's us crazy people that only one of us probably watched the Tomorrow War.
That's true. Only one of us did, and it wasn't me.
I'm willing to wager it wasn't me, so it would have to be Mark.
No! We always get stuck not talking about movies. I don't think so. I was gonna hit a softball right out into the middle of the field.
Was it any good? I mean, I'm tempted.
It's
by
really,
it.
I love it because what I love in movies is action, sci-fi. There are aliens that people have to fight, and there's time travel, and that's all that matters.
That was why I was a little skeptical, because it's like, okay, I get fighting aliens.
Mm-hmm.
I get time travel. Why do we need to put them together and then get Andy from Parks and Rec? Or Star-Lord, who is already doing some alien fighting. Like,
Wait, let me get this right. Alien fighting,
Yep.
time travel.
Yep.
Isn't that the script for Doctor Who?
A little bit. The basic outline of the movie is that people, us from the future, come back in time and tell us that they need us to go to their time and help them fight this alien invasion. So they just start conscripting, doing a draft, and grabbing people from our time to go forward. There's a window of time that they have to try to hit, and there's a reason for who they pick, for who they're drafting, and all that stuff would totally wreck the movie for you. So I'm not going to tell you.
Wasn't that also the plot behind Bishop from X-Men? He comes back to recruit people to go into the future or something like that.
Kill Sentinel, baby. I volunteer.
so okay, the cast of this movie is nuts.
Yeah, pretty good.
Chris Pratt, Star-Lord. Yvonne Strahovski, who was in Chuck.
Yep.
J.K. Simmons, who has the greatest voice ever given to anyone.
He's great.
Sam Richardson, who was in Veep. Marilyn Ricecub, who was Chloe in 24. And this other guy, Mike Mitchell, who I'm trying to figure out what I know him from. Oh, that's right. He was a Lurpus in Parks and Rec. So reunited there, I guess, with Star-Lord, a.k.a. Chris Pratt.
Yeah, there's such great creature design. It's they feel very scary and not ridiculous powers. Like that's the one thing that I didn't like so much about Silent Place. The design of that creature seemed a little bit weird.
There's nothing about this movie other than the fact that they're mashing together too many different sci-fi genres to keep me from seeing this movie.
Hey, I'm telling you.
Like, there's no reason I haven't watched it. Maybe I will watch it tomorrow. Wait, no, I'm on the air tomorrow. Maybe I'll watch it in my hotel room this weekend.
It's a $50 fee for me that's holding me back.
Why $50? You don't have Prime?
Oh, it's on Prime? I thought it was in theaters.
Prime?
Oh, I wouldn't go to a movie theater to see it. I will watch it on Prime.
I might go to the movie theater and watch it in the movie theater. I think it's worth a big screen. But I did watch it on Prime.
I'm not ready for movie theaters yet. I've decided.
Nor am I.
Black Widow's in theaters this weekend, and people are like, "You should go. We should go see it." And I'm like, or just no.
Well, with Delta out there, maybe not.
That's what I'm saying. I've flown Delta. I know Delta is bad. This segment brought to you by our future sponsor, Southwest.
That's right.
Get on that one, Justin. But
any airline that will wrap all their opening instructions is my kind of airline.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But never fly Spirit. Just throwing it out there. All right. It's a Ryanair. Also pretty bad.
You need to read my contract again, Kyle. I do think it stipulates that I fly first class or private jet only.
That's fine. I have no problem with that. But you don't fly Delta, don't fly Spirit, don't fly Ryanair.
Actually, I do prefer Delta over others.
I've never, in traveling regularly since I was 13 years old, had a good experience with Delta.
I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum, I guess. Not that I have any problems with anybody else.
Well, my big problem is if you fly Delta here, you fly out of Detroit, then they fly you to Charlotte, then they fly you to some other airport, then they fly you to where you're going.
Or you can
So you go hub to hub to hub to wherever you're going.
Or you can go nonstop.
No, there's no such thing from here.
That's what you get for living in the boonies, man.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's Detroit. It's not the boonies.
Like I said, that's what you get for living in the boonies.
Yeah. Okay. So what else has happened?
Were there any of the movies out this weekend? Wasn't it a Boss Baby weekend?
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Have we all caught up on Loki yet?
I am. Oh, there was another piece of movie news that we probably should acknowledge. Richard Donner passed away. Who directed Superman and The Goonies and Lethal Weapon.
Man.
He was 91 years old.
He lived a decent life.
Yeah, fair. But he directed TV shows like The Twilight Zone, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Gilligan's Island, and Perry Mason. But he really was known. He got known when he directed The Omen.
Really?
Yeah. Then he did Superman. And Superman 2. But they replaced him. And recut it with Richard Lester, which is interesting. The Goonies. Yeah, I mean, those were the big ones. And then on news of his passing, Kevin Feige says that his entire career is only existent because of Richard Donner. So that's pretty great.
Yep, that's nice of him.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, he gave him his start.
It's amazing. What a great career.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got?
Loki.
Oh no, Miss Jenna, have you caught up?
Yeah, I'm good. But we shouldn't do too many spoilery things because I feel like it's pretty early on for.
I don't understand what Thanos is doing in episode 4. There's no reason he should be in there.
That was a weird take. And the fact that the Doctor from Doctor Who shows up, really does. Especially with the news coming out that Sophia DiMartino would like to play the Doctor once Jodie Whittaker's done.
Yeah, that's another story. But
I mean, now that they've crossed over, can they exist in the same universe? I don't understand.
Well, they can because they've done it before, where they had 3 Doctors all in the same timeline and universe. That little Christmas special they did. But the fact that Thanos stole TARDIS and brought him there—that's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna jump the shark, at least have a real shark or Iron.
Right. Was that enough spoilers for you, Miss Jen?
You guys are so weird. For a minute, I was like, "Going, wait, did I miss something? I don't remember seeing." I could have fallen asleep.
No, the big thing in this episode to me is the mid-credit scene. Like, the rest of it I found incredibly predictable.
Yeah.
And then the mid-credit scenes happen, you're like, oh, okay. Throw that all out the window.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, up until that point, I was like, yeah, every trope in the book. Let's go.
Yep.
I'm not mad at it.
I was a little mad at it, and then again, mid-credit scene, all is forgiven.
Won't disagree with you there. Well, I mean, other than the fact that I didn't enjoy it, but won't disagree with you that the mid-credit scene did say, "Oh yeah, heck yeah, why not?"
Right. I was ready to call Dan Wickline and be like, dude, I'm coming on the show tonight to burn this thing down. And he goes, did you watch the mid-credit scene? And I'm like, no, it's going through the trailers. Like, I know that's what he would have said. And then I waited and,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we're good. Never mind.
Yep.
I wonder if we're gonna have. I mean, we just need 3 people, right? And we could walk around a con as those characters.
Yes, unless if they open up. Well, technically 4, right?
Right? Yeah, you're for it.
So on the So Much Cosplay show, Cheryl started making and finished
Mm-hmm.
the Sylvie headgear.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. That is going to be the hottest cosplay
Yeah.
for women. Like it's every, female cosplayer is gonna do a take on either that or on Loki as a variant or something like that
Mm-hmm.
from this show.
Cheryl's quite talented, but I'm shocked to hear that she finished it during one of the tapings. I thought it would take her longer than that.
Oh no, she didn't. It's one of those that she was between projects and needed something to hold her over, so she posted it to Instagram.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wow, because I figured that would take her at least 4 or 5 hours to do.
Oh no, it was. I mean, it was just the band, and then it was just kind of build out the horns and then paint.
Okay. I thought she built the entire costume. I'm like,
No,
dang.
like this coming week, she's doing the cape.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it
Right.
that son, right, that comes on with her?
I'm sorry.
Is it her son or her nephew that comes on with her?
Stepson.
Stepson. He's adorable, and I love it.
Yes. And he like that was the photo as it was him wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
He's super fun, but no,
Guys,
I mean,
I'll be right back. Somebody's at the door.
Okay.
all right. If it's a pizza, I want 2 slices. It's in my rider. I get 2 slices of every pizza.
That's why I don't order pizza during our show.
That's fair. Let's see what other movie news did happen. I didn't really pay attention. I'll be honest. This weekend was pretty much just 4th of July stuff for me. It wasn't
Fireworks.
there wasn't really anything else happening.
Did you
I
have?
mean, Steven Dorff making a fool of himself is a story we could talk about.
Oh, I don't know this one.
Steven Dorff calls out Marvel's Black Widow and other MCU films as garbage. Steven Dorff, who played Deacon Frost in Blade, says Black Widow and other Marvel Studio films are garbage. In fact, he said he feels bad. He feels embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson.
Embarrassed for all the money she's made.
Right? I mean,
That's
her bank
kind of
account.
what I was saying. I'm like, all right, Mr. Searching for Relevance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were in Blade, bro. Like,
What was that in 1784 when that movie came out?
right. I'm like, really not gonna hold up. Like, what makes you an authority on whether something's good or not? Now, granted, Steven Dorff has been in some great stuff, but like, that is not the flex to make if you want to have a future in big action films, because everybody who's going to be making big action films for the next 10 years, 15 years, are going to be disciples of what's happened in the MCU.
I mean, I think that the music industry has figured out in the last week how rich a medium comics are, since all of them are trying to buy everything they can.
Right?
And we're not talking about physical copies. We're talking about they're trying to buy companies up.
Yep. Like from what I hear, Jay-Z's part owner of CGC now.
Yep.
Well, Blackstone, what's interesting about the Blackstone story to me is that when I was working for the giant media conglomerate I once worked for, Blackstone came in and bought bought 51%.
Yep.
And all they did was leverage them owning 51% of us to go out and buy a bigger, profitable media company and then dump us. Like, it's so what their purchase of CGC is interesting.
What
Um,
are they headed for Diamond?
hmm?
What are they headed for if they want something bigger in our industry? Diamond?
They
Amazon?
might be a bit too late for Diamond.
Yeah, Lunar maybe.
Maybe.
It wouldn't shock me if they're looking at companies with distribution infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So Midtown or I'm sorry, DCBS, Lunar or UCS, whatever, right?
Well, I mean, they could be looking at the relic of Diamond, the remnants of Diamond, saying, "Hey,
And Diamond
we
still,
need distribution infrastructure." I don't know for what, but it makes sense based on the moves they're making.
it is a great way to look at properties before they're released to everybody else. Because distribution right after the publishers, the distributors that see the product, and then then it goes out. So
Right, but what is the music industry going to gain from that?
well, music and film industry do go hand in hand. A lot of them are intertwined, interrelated. So they might be just looking to option them before anybody else gets a shot at it.
I mean, maybe it's they're looking at they're looking for an IP farm.
Yeah.
Um,
They could just be going after smaller publishers as well. You never know, because a lot of publishers do have their foot in in the movie industry.
yeah, I mean that's entirely possible because Jay-Z does have the production house.
And you never know. This could be what bad idea for all you bad idea fans listening. That could be where they're headed as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there were some early moves that probably wouldn't be counted in that. Like, remember what 2 or 3 years ago at New York Comic Con when Scout announced that they were starting with an entertainment arm and brought on Tennessee and I can't remember the other gentleman's name that were from the movie industry, entertainment industry.
Well, that's where Charlie's from.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I think there's part of that there's some companies that are more set up for it than others for certain. But the buying of CGC, if they are just using it as a pawn,
It doesn't make sense.
right? It could also be a consolidation. You pick up CGC, then you pick up something like a Sotheby's, not Sotheby's, but Hakes Auctions or Heritage or something.
Wouldn't it be better to pick up Beckett instead of CGC? You get both cards and ooh.
But Beckett's already such a. I mean, I think Beckett probably values higher than CGC. Beckett. It was 500 million for CGC. Beckett, you're probably looking at $1.5 billion because of what the card market is right now, and Beckett owns the coin grading company and
CBCS is Beckett.
Yeah, and CBCS.
Yeah.
I think you're probably looking at another $1 billion to pick that up. Whereas you get CGC, and like I said, you pair it with the acquisition of something like Heritage Auctions or Prestige or something where you can get.
And if they're listening, both Jen and I will entertain any legitimate offers you guys may have.
True, but only for my my real life model decoy.
I meant for our shops, but yes, you can have that as well.
So if you looked at that made public, the CGC agreement, it doesn't just have Blackstone. It has another, maybe, I think I saw another 5 names that were invested outside of Blackstone that were part of it, that were kind of like, it would be interesting to do the research and find out who all those players really are.
Well, I mean, if you go down that rabbit hole, be prepared to kind of hate what you find out. And this is the thing that I've learned, because I went through this when I'm working for this giant multimedia conglomerate, and we just got bought by these 12 people, these 12 companies, and I kind of went down the rabbit hole, and it's, oh, okay, these 12 companies are all subsidiaries of one big company, and it's Bain Capital, and we're all going to get fired. You know what I mean? It's why never look at who owns Nabisco. Like, it's a weird kind of way that things have. I'm going to use the word congealed, but congealed.
Yeah.
You know, in that part of that industry, the food industry, Pepsi owns, such and such owns such and such, or, as I like to point out, the Scheinhart Wig Company owns GE, owns NBC.
Does Disney still own ABC?
Yes. By the way, that was a joke from the show 30 Rock.
Oh.
So, but it's General Electric owned General Electric and Whirlpool and CGC and NBC, and they were involved in the record business and all this other stuff, and it's all just General Electric. It's all GE. So I think what you're going to wind up seeing is that a bunch of those other companies are probably just subsidiaries or companies owned by people who are in the Blackstone fund. So I'm coming in with this much from my own company plus what I've got into Blackstone in exchange for this much percentage of what Blackstone owns.
And that's also one way to basically get a majority of a company. You basically have your subsidiaries buy it out and not own the majority without owning the majority. Hostile takeovers are basically planned out like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think people are super concerned about the price increase that are going to come with it.
Thank you.
And I posted on a group, and I said this to somebody. I don't think the price increase you're going to see with this acquisition is going to be any more than you would have seen anyway, based on the rise in the market.
Well, CGC prices have already gone up.
Right. But they'll probably go up another 5%.
Or maybe they went up because of this acquisition already on the books. I mean, they just recently went up just a month or two ago.
Right.
So.
But over the next year, maybe you see another 5% increase, which is a lot, but I think that's probably where the market was heading with the demand.
What's interesting is their sports cards and trading cards went from $8 to $15. That's almost 100% markup. So yeah, that could be part of this deal. If you think about it, they're just guising it under, hey, the market's doing really hot. We don't have time. We need to hire more people. But it could just be this deal. You never know.
Right, increase the valuation of the company by increasing the cost of the product.
Yep.
And saying this is a busy year. Here's what a slow year is, so we can figure out what the mean is and go from there.
Yep.
Wow, we've gotten really into the weeds on how company financial statements and acquisitions work.
Well,
right.
It's important as news for people outside the industry to understand, because they're probably going to their local comic shops for a while maybe, and being able to drop off their stuff sent to CGC, and then are wondering why shops are no longer offering that service. It's because our margin on that went from 20% to 15%, plus the shipping fees seem to be very variable, and sometimes we end up backwards instead of making a tiny little profit on it. So it's just, the risk is so high. We're sending away really expensive books, and something bad happens, it's on us. Yep. And the reward is nothing.
Right. So that's super true. I mean, I also think it's important for people to, if you have a strong interest, read the FTC filing, the Federal Trade Commission filing,
Mhm.
because all of that stuff is a matter of public record. You can go out and you can get it, and kind of get into the nuts and bolts of it and see why did Blackstone say they wanted to make this acquisition? What was the goal? All that stuff's in there.
Um, that's I didn't even think about whether CGC's or CCG, whatever they call themselves,
Mhm.
collectible, whatever the parent company for CGC. I wonder if their financials are also included in there because they are a corporation, right?
There'll be some financials included for sure. I don't know if it's a full financial disclosure because
Yeah,
it's not a merger.
correct. It's not a public traded company either, so they
Right.
don't have to disclose everything. You're right.
There'll probably be some financials just to assert their valuation, but
Correct.
yeah, I mean it's not like it's when a publicly traded company gets bought up, all of that stuff's in there.
Correct.
Or when there's a merger, full financial disclosure is made.
In public, I mean, public traded company, all their information has got to be disclosed in their shareholders every year. So that's a different story.
Right. It's like I was saying when the DC going to Discovery deal went down.
Yep.
It's the FTC filing will hold the key as to what's actually happening here. And I never really went back and read it, but in my estimation, it became clear that one company wanted a publishing wing and wanted Warner Media because it gives them more, further production and further IP. And another company just wanted the cash out and got to keep a slice of something, in exchange. Like,
And that on paper, that is basically what it sounds like. AT&T and Discovery was basically that. AT&T say, hey, we'll take the cash. Okay.
right,
Discovery.
give us 2% on the back end for 10 years of every film or whatever, and
Yep.
the cash you're willing to offer us now, and you
Exactly.
can have Warner Media and the publishing wing to do with as you choose.
Exactly. So should we change the name of this show from Nerd News Now to Economics 101?
Yes.
Or Introduction to Business?
Comic books is business too, right?
It absolutely is.
Well, so that was something I saw that I really didn't have time to think about, but somebody posted a meme that said this bubble is going to burst, this bubble is going to burst, and it was the sales trends for the comic industry.
That was Adam Freeman.
Yes, thank you.
What?
I'm going to pull that up so I can actually reference it with information.
With data.
So, and we've discussed this so-called bubble before on the show, so it's nothing new for our audience, hopefully.
Right, but it shocked me the trend, the trend line that was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Because the best year I ever had as a retailer, according to this, picture he shared, was the worst year the industry had in the last 8.
Yep.
I shouldn't say that. In the last 5, but you know,
One of the biggest problems with that trend line you see is it does not show what's sitting in retailers' warehouses.
yeah,
That's a number that we don't see. We do not see the final retailer numbers, which could be significantly lower than what that trend is showing.
right. Oh, absolutely, and I would imagine it is. I mean, we're looking at it's according to ICV2. Um, this is the Comicron Comic Sales Report. North American comic sales across time. In 2020, the industry did 1.2 billion in sales, and that's combined print and digital download.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in a year where publication stopped for a while, distribution stopped for a while, it's going to be the biggest year since 2012.
Right.
Now, here's a Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
We just started in the last 2 years to have Comics Hub information included there, which are actual sales through numbers. So I wonder if that has helped that data just for those last 2 years or not.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I would imagine it is. But what I'm saying is that number to me seems like an anathema of reality.
Mm-hmm. But everybody that I've talked to said that January, February, March, and April were the best months that they've had ever.
Of this year.
Right, I'm talking about 2020.
No. Really?
Ever.
Of 2020?
Of 2020.
Ever.
I'll disagree with that.
Yeah, no, Jen.
Yes.
Jen, you keep saying ever, but we're asking you to confirm that they said the first 4 months of last year were the best they've ever had.
Sorry, I'm misspeaking. Of 2021.
Okay.
Right. No, these numbers were only through 2020.
Yes.
So I wonder if that sell through data though just isn't delayed. How many people are, they just started picking up when stuff came back, and they're just, you know what I mean? It's kind of the wave is catching up to the.
Also, to bear in mind, 2020 was also the year where almost every single publisher offered returnability. It's also the same year that basically retailers took a risk on those returnabilities where they may have ordered 5 or 10 times more than they normally would have.
So then if we had returnability, then we don't have things sitting in our room unless we chose to.
Correct, but did those numbers that they're showing really show that number? Or are they only looking at the numbers that Diamond presented as first sell-through, and everything that was returned is a publisher issue, not a sales issue? So again, that data is not presented to us.
Right. It's we don't know what we don't know about this data, but still looking at the whole of it all, the trend line that says 2017 at 1.015 billion was the lowest year in the last 5.
And what year was that?
2017. And that it's basically gone up by, you're looking at 500 million every year since.
I'm gonna just as an example, I'll look at our numbers for the last 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, last 5 years. This chart goes back to 2012, but my best year as a retailer was 2017. And it trended down since then. Now, part of that was I was terrible. I was not the world's greatest retailer, but it's just interesting to see again that even the orders, even if it's just orders through Diamond on that initial sell through, the rate of increase.
I'm trying to pull up our numbers and I'll see how well.
Somewhere I've got mine.
I mean, 2020 for us was probably the best year in the last 5, but that had more to do with back issue sales and more to do with gaming. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh hit. I mean, they skyrocketed last year.
Right.
And that helped us out.
Right, and none of that is included in this data.
Correct. So it does. Again, I'm not questioning it to the extent where somebody's publishing false data.
No.
I'm questioning the validity to the extent where they're getting these numbers from.
Right.
And numbers don't make 100% sense to us.
Right, and like I said, I just found it interesting. Like, doesn't matter what data they've presented. In the end, it's that even if it's the numbers that Diamond got from publishers, in terms of value.
Yeah.
Or that all three distributors got from publishers in terms of value. The trend line, it's just interesting to see that in a year where we lost a couple of months, we are at the highest point in the last decade.
People I know that dive deep into the numbers like that, if we wanted to have someone do it, it's like Brian Hibbs is always equal to the task. And then David Harper from Sketched usually does a pretty detailed rundown when he has the time.
I always like David's reports better because they feel more
Well, he's got
honest.
70 skin in the game, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
for us, our worst year since 2000. Well, 2012 was the worst year. 13, then I see an increase in every year until 2016 was a dip. 2017 goes up. 2018 was worse than 2016 for us, as far as sales are concerned. Total revenue. 17. Yep, 17 was better than 16. 18 was worse than 16. 19 we came back up. 19 to that point was the best year. 2020 beat 19. And 2021 we're halfway through and we've already beat 19 sales.
Yep.
Yeah.
But again, for us, it's more gaming than it is comic books. Not discounting our comic books aren't up, but it is majority of it has been gaming for us.
Okay, so here's another discussion we can have on that. So everyone's always talking about the bubble, and maybe we're not talking about this where the money goes away, but the worry that allocations have been happening because of supply problems, and that our orders, we're starting to order just assuming allocations are going to occur. Are we worried at some point that the next Pokemon release, the next Magic release, we're going to order double what we need because of allocation? We're going to get what we want, it's going to drop out.
And that is something I've been thinking about with the last order I just placed, which is for the next 25th anniversary. I looked at it from this perspective. The amount of sales we've had for this year will cover the losses that we may occur with that set. If that set bombs. I do agree with you. I'm very worried about it because our numbers are going up much higher than they should be. Because I remember just last year we had cut our orders down to minimum because we saw Pokemon decline, and same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. We saw it before the pandemic. We were seeing a decline in all of those. After the pandemic, I mean, it just skyrocketed.
So here's the question. There's I guess there's three parts to the question, right? Mm-hmm. Are more people playing? And I can say, and I can answer part of this. So let me get through it all. Are more people playing games in general than were playing games pre-pandemic? Is the speculator market strong enough to support this continually? And the third part is, as small independent retailers, are we seeing a benefit from the fact that the big box chains are just as stuck as we are? And I mean, I can answer the first part, is that more people are playing games in general than were playing pre-pandemic. I know I have friends who were out of playing Magic, who were out of playing Pokemon, who are still are back to playing, but they're playing with their old stuff. They're not out there buying new stuff.
Yes.
But they're back into the hobby. So when they get that itch to be competitive again, they'll go out and buy. I know that board game sales, like tradition Chutes and Ladders kind of board games, are up incrementally. Talking to my game distributor my game publisher friends, they're struggling to meet the demand for their game and they're a small indie publisher. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of what we're seeing with the Magic Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh increase is that more people are playing games in general, so there's more interest in the product. But the speculator market is what's driving the revenue right now.
And that's where I'll disagree with you on board games. Definitely, as far as collectible games, they're not the people that are coming back, and we are seeing a trend of Yu-Gi-Oh players and Pokemon players and Magic players coming back. They're not coming back to play; they are coming back to collect, and they're coming back to basically try to cash out as soon as they can.
Right. I think
so-
that's what's driving the revenue. But I'm just talking about gaming as a sector is up.
I think it's only because they were confined to their houses and they wanted something to do, and Netflix could only take you so far. But as the world starts to open up again, or at least the United States starts to open up again, where we're able to socialize with our friends in real life again, I'm going to see that decline. I'm not sure if that's going to be a linear
Right.
decline in the collectible aspect of it. I think that's driven more by people having extra funds in their because of all the stimulus they got and the crypto people making more money than they should be out of it. So,
Right. It'll be interesting to see if it, because everybody knows it's going to decline. But it'll be interesting to see if it's a slow decline or if it's a sharp decline.
Something's going on. All my Avengers Forever with the Kang cover are selling right now. That's like the fourth sale I've just seen since we've been live.
And Kang is supposedly because of the movie coming out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't think. Okay, going back to that, it is a good theory that Kang, could be in Loki. But if they are really predicting it to be in the next movie, that's not going to happen in Loki.
Right. He'll either be in Loki or in Doctor Strange.
Correct. And
It's one
my
or the
bets
other.
are more towards Doctor Strange than it is towards
Same.
Loki. So we'll see how that turns out. Are we done with that topic, Ms. Jen?
I think so. I think we've just to let everybody know, like, collectibles are a great amount of fun. Just be careful that you don't only buy things to make money out of them, because that becomes a job instead of something you enjoy. Make sure you also enjoy it.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell this story. When I bought my store, I loved working there. When I closed my store, I hated working there.
Yeah, I've expressed the same thing. Ms. Jen knows.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
tired of it. So
when my life became more about talking to accountants and lawyers than talking about Superman, I got really bummed out. And again, part of that goes to I was not a great retailer. I was really good at selling comics. I was really terrible at running a business where I wanted to keep most of my product.
there's a balance to be had there.
Yeah.
Sure, Ms. Jen has a pretty decent collection. I've got a pretty decent collection.
Right.
Ms. Jen, you don't have a decent collection?
I have a long box and a short box that I have not added to since 1995.
Oh, wow. Okay. I've got a decent collection.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean is it's like the business I have now, I'm much better at, because it's not like I want to keep what I'm doing. Like, I'm making stuff to put out into the world.
Yep.
Rather than collect. And so that was my big problem, is I was always the collector who owned the comic book store, not the businessman who was selling comics. And so, yeah, when I took my hobby and tried to make it my job, it was not good. And that's my big worry, is that I see a lot of people who are so passionate right now about Lego or gaming or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, but in 6 months you're gonna hate having to list individual Lego pieces on eBay.
But 20 years from now, they're going to have nostalgia, and it's going to come right back to them, and they're going to be addicted once again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a trend we see in comic books as well. The 90s was just that. It's a huge speculative bubble. That burst, and we are 20 years, 25 years into it now, and we see it again. The difference with this bubble, the difference between this bubble and 90s bubble is, of course, the quantity, and the collectors are a little bit more educated, as opposed to what they were back then. It is still speculative. It is still, unnecessarily higher than it should be.
Still a better bet than the stock market.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not the golden age of comic books. And again, the difference between now and the golden age is back then they read the books. They didn't care to save them, and that's what makes them more valuable. Where now it's more like, oh yeah, let me bag and board, and let me double bag and board this so I don't damage it. Oh, you know what? I'll buy another copy to read. You know what? No, I'm not going to read this anymore. I'll just wait till the trade. Now I have 2 copies saved up. That is still a poor aspect of this trend right now.
Mm-hmm. A retailer friend had an exclusive of a real hot book done. Came out last week. And looking at the number of people who wanted to buy 5 copies.
Are you referring to White?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're willing to drop $100 on 5 copies of this book. I don't mind dropping $20 on 1 copy of the book because it's an exclusive variant. It's supporting my friend's business. It's all this other stuff. But 5 copies of a single book, I could buy for the rest of that $100 for the other $80 from this particular retailer. I could probably buy 80 other books.
I think you're good.
In fact, I go, hey, if you just pack the rest of the box full of $80 worth of stuff, I'd probably get more than 80 books.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what are you investing in? What are you investing in your enjoyment, or are you investing in, gee whiz, someday this book from this company nobody will have heard of in a few years unless things change?
Well, in fact, I was just talking to a customer a little bit earlier. I don't know if you guys have heard of the game MetaZoo. We keep getting calls for it left and right, and I have a significant amount of money tied into pre-orders on it, which I'm a little skeptical about. But he just told me, he earned about $12,000 selling it, selling cards and boosters he got from the Kickstarter. And he did the wise thing where he turned it around and not just sat on it trying to see if it'll make him a lot of money in 5 years or 10 years. The people buying 5 copies, that is something that, well, at least we hope that's what they're doing, is where they're trying to, cash it out right now. But if they're holding on to 5 years, 10 years from now, look at what happened to Superman, Death of Superman. A week after it came out, it was going for what, $100 at retail. It dropped down to $5 5 years after that. What's it at now? $10. And these are
I mean, I remember when it was $0 and I was giving them away for free,
and
then it went back up to $5. And I went, oh my God, this book is worth money again.
And you can probably hear people when they were standing in line saying, "Oh yeah, I'm buying X amount because this is going to pay my kids' college tuition."
Yep. I think we've probably seen the same documentary about it.
Did they?
And it might, if he stayed dead.
Yes, absolutely. That would have been the changer. If he did stay dead, that book probably would have held its value. I mean, it's still worth $10 for something that printed 2 million copies. X-Men is still climbing right now, which is shocking to me. That had 5 million copies made. X-Force #1 is climbing because that.
Well, and just as a point of reference for people watching, X-Men, or how many copies? 2 million copies of Death of Superman?
Yeah, 2 to 3 million. I forgot what it was.
The biggest book in recent memory is 600K.
Yep.
How many did Star Wars have?
It wasn't near Berserker numbers.
I thought it was higher than Berserker numbers. Maybe I'm wrong. My apologies.
I mean, it might have gotten to 1 million. I mean, but I thought there was one that was 500,000 a few years ago, and I can't remember what it was. I just remember hearing a publisher brag that they had done something at 500,000.
Yeah, maybe that was Star Wars. I don't know. But yes,
Yeah,
that I mean,
Star Wars, or it might have been one of the DC 1000s, Superman or Batman 1000.
but just to let everybody know, on an average month, I think maybe one or maybe two books might break the 100,000 mark, even if they do.
Right. I mean, you have companies like Behemoth that are growing faster than they can keep up with, and they're printing 40,000.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
40,000 is high for independent.
right, right. That's huge. Those
Yeah.
are massive numbers. Like, so it's, I think it's important to remember the difference too. Just to point it out. There's not as much supply as there used to be, so the bubble is maybe more stable. Do you guys remember those things? Probably not because you're not '90s children, but it was like you'd put it on the end of a straw and you'd blow it up, and it'd be this balloon that you could
Oh
punch through.
yes,
And you could put
absolutely.
like jumping beans in it.
Hey,
That's the bubble we're looking at now.
how old do you think we are, Kyle?
Hey, I just know that in the '90s there was nothing cooler.
Right. In fact, if we can find that again, I'm sure we'll probably still have fun playing those things.
Right. But I assumed by the '90s you both had better things to do with your time than watch Nickelodeon.
No.
Watch
All
the
right,
same.
um, this bubble it won't pop. It will deflate.
Yep,
It won't pop. It will deflate.
I agree.
it's true.
Course correct.
Yep. Which
Yep.
happens with everything. This is not the tulip bubble, which absolutely crashed.
You could almost say it. Never mind.
Okay.
I was gonna make a joke about planting a tulip bulb, but
Oh.
Okay.
I even walked away from it because it was too much. If I walk away from it because it's too much,
It's
it's
right.
too much.
Do you guys have any favorite books for this week for
I
reading?
do. One of them I wanted to get for your interview today, but I couldn't just because of, well, timing. But for me, one of the books that I'm very, very excited about this week is the new X-Men #1.
Yep.
I was out of X-Men for a long time, but stupid Hickman drug me back in. Crush and Lobo #2 and Ordinary Gods from Image Comics has me excited. And then there's a Bad Idea book.
ENIAC 4?
No, The Lot.
Not out.
Yeah, we didn't. Lot is delayed. Sleigh Bells is out this week.
Well, The Lot is still on my list, and I have to tell you, I know I was involved in conversations about the marketing of that book. So I'm very excited for The Lot.
I'm pretty sure that they caught me using a potty word. I'm almost 100% certain that I said one.
Yeah.
It'll be the one time in all my life that you'll have proof that I have foul language that I can use.
I think we've heard you use foul language before, Miss Jen.
Mostly it's quotes. I can do it. So if it's a movie quote, I'll use language. But I don't usually, I'm not original enough to come up with my own. I would use awkward foul language in appropriate ways, probably.
One book I think a lot of people are going to overlook is Blacksmith by Ahoy. I think that looks interesting. I've got that on my poll.
Worst Dudes #2 from Dark Horse, and Frank Chu's Fight Girls #1 from AWA.
Finally, dadgum, how long has that been?
Right.
I think the first 6 pages of that book are in the #0, the AWA magazine that they put out, and it just taunts me.
Upshot.
Yep.
Yeah. Clans of Bellari comes out from what is it, Aftershock? Aftershock, right?
Yes.
That looks interesting.
No Ghost in Hiroshima from Scout.
And Marvel starting their Extreme Carnage series
Yep.
with Extreme Carnage Alpha.
I have good feeling about Omega.
About Carnage Omega or Carnage, is Omega coming out or is it just Alpha right now, right?
No, it's Alpha right now, but I just have a good gut feeling about what Omega's bringing. Because everyone usually doesn't order Omega, but that's usually where they launch the next thing or give the next big whatever.
They do, yep.
From the Rivers of London series that Titan has done so well with, even if I'm the only person who ever read them, Monday. I really enjoyed those books. I've always enjoyed the Rivers of London. And this series is written by Ben Aronovich and Andrew Cartmel, who writes on Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
Man, my list is big this week. Wow.
Yeah, it's a bad week for me, man.
Glamorella's Daughter by LP Publishing. That's something
Yeah,
that's
it's not on my list, but yeah.
It is an all-age book. It's a nice looked interesting to make it into my poll. So for old school Goon fans, there is a resketched version of the original Goon by Eric Powell.
Ooh.
Oh, hey, we've completely glossed over Nice House on the Lake #2.
I'm going alphabetical. I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
Miss Jen, what's on your
Basilisk
list?
#2.
I didn't have a heart to look at it because I have a feeling that all our I think that everyone's books are coming 24 hours later than we think they are.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know we didn't receive our lunar yet, which is very disappointing. Boom's Mamo is coming out, right? This week?
Did you say Boom's Mama?
Mamo, Mamo.
Oh,
I think that's by Boom, if I remember correctly.
I'm like, are you making fun of someone's mother? I didn't understand.
Man Goat and Bunny Man concludes this week.
Yay!
That has been so good.
Yes.
I want
Ooh,
I want to get Cheryl to make me a Bunnyman costume.
nice. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yes.
People are like, what are you from? I'm like, you don't know? I'm not gonna explain it to you.
Oh, you know what they need is that bunny from, what was that show? Dystopia?
Yes.
I cannot believe they're not going to continue that. That's disappointing.
What, Man Goat and the Bunnyman?
No, Dystopia.
Oh.
Utopia.
Oh, Utopia. I'm sorry. Yeah, Utopia. Ah.
I think I actually contacted everyone that I could think of and said, please tell me you're going to make
The comic.
a coffee table book of the book. No one jumped. I'm like, come on now.
This can't be the first printing of this, is it? I have on my list Batman Damned trade paperback.
It's the first time they've done it in
trade.
They've had hardcover out, but not softcover.
Correct.
Okay, I was gonna say this can't be the first.
Masters of the Universe Revelations #1 this week.
WWE The New Day, The Power of Positivity #1.
Yep.
I want when I'm gonna work on getting an interview with The New Day, just because I want to ask them about Bootios.
Skybound X this week as well.
We'll find out what it all is about.
Right. But I think, Ms. Jen, what's your thought of us having to FOC all 5 covers before we see #1? Or all 5 issues before we see #1?
I had to be conservative, and every single time it made my stomach upset because I might be making the wrong choice.
I agree with you. I went a little bit more aggressive than being conservative. Just more of a thank you to Skybound and Robert Kirkman for everything they did for us last year, and Image as well. You know, them along with a lot of other publishers, they stuck up for a lot of retailers. They helped out a lot of retailers. So this is one of the toughs. I'm doing the same thing with the Mad Cave They helped out retailers with their own money. I do the same thing with Boom. I order more than we really need, or just more of a thank you than anything else. Same thing with Bad Idea, and again, a lot of publishers out there. Um, so I did go a little bit more aggressive than conservative on. But let's see how that goes. But I do agree with you. I went a little conservative as well.
Yeah, I think that was 5 on FOC this week. I went a little heavier on that one because the actual copy on it made me believe that there was because it actually said first appearance of something.
I got to relook it. And speaking of which, did you order your Venom 25 or no, Venom 200 second prints yet?
No, I still have first prints. Why do I need second prints?
Because of speculators. That's a tough one for me to order because I do have first prints on file.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I have collectors that want the Gleason cover. But do I really want to invest? For each Gleason cover is going to cost us $250.
I was going to say, if it wasn't a $10 book to had to buy 25 of to get there, then
Correct.
maybe. I just not knowing what the ratio. It's a ratio variant, not knowing if it's going to hit, double ratio, triple ratio, whatever. It's going to have to hit pretty high to make it worth that investment.
Yeah, because our cost is approximately $250 for it. Because for those of us that have first prints, we don't need second prints yet. Speaking of second, third, fourth, fifth prints, Stray Dogs #1. If you guys have not picked up the first print, #1 fourth print comes out this week.
Can I tell you the truth, Brainy? In my entire store right now, all I have are 3 copies of second print #4. That's all I have left.
A Stray Dog.
Stripped clean.
I went a little heavy on Stray Dog as well. Again, not going nuts out there, but just because because of Tony Fleece being local and everything, and always chit chatting and stuff. So
not that I'll ever sell it, but I have a Stray Dogs. I have a couple of Stray Dogs #1 first prints that are just sitting there.
Oh, you know what I have? You just reminded me. They did a preview edition of Stray Dogs for Comics Pro. I probably have my copy somewhere.
Just laying around?
Just laying around.
Yeah, no, of that first book, of the first issue of the first print, I got one of every cover.
I personally...
Because I like those particular films.
Yeah, I think I may have gotten 3 or 4, again, just to help sales. I said just to, so I did get a few extra copies of #1. But that was more, even if that book tanked, I would have bought those anyway. So that was
right.
More.
I like movie cover variants, movie poster variants.
Mm-hmm.
I always love when DC did them. I love when Marvel does them. So the fact that these were them, I'm like, well, I have the collection of movie poster variants. So
X-Men #1 comes out this week.
Yup.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
I think the next book I'm willing to drown in, like literally I'm planning on drowning in it, just like I did in Berserker, is Good Boy.
I did order heavy-ish on Good Boy, but I think that's because it has returnability and it has a good
writer team.
Yes, thank you.
Steps.
Because Dr. Christie will come there and find you and make you pay for not supporting her book.
What? I think we're zeroed out now, just because it's her.
Oh my!
I'll be honest. It's books like Good Boy that are why I kept my. Once I closed my store, I kept my source point minimum order in place. My standing order stuff. Like it's not nearly what it once was, but I want to support Source Point because they're my dudes, and the books they put out, like if I do 4 shows a year, I'll sell them. I'm not worried about it. So let me keep that in place. And it's books like Good Boy that keep giving me that, and Broken Gargoyles Volume 2, and both Christy Blanche books, ironically, and the new pulp stuff that Josh Warner's doing. Huh?
I think they just said they sold out the broken gargoyles that just released.
Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, I know there's some stuff coming down the pike from a friend of ours who still owes us all much ice cream that you know, that give me faith in what they're doing. So
I shall not read any of his books until he buys me that ice cream.
that's
We need
fair,
to go
Brainy.
together, and then we'll just drown in ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
We'll roll back to the hotel.
See, if you guys got to come here just to go to Pee Wee's with us.
Pee-wee's.
It's an ice cream stand.
Interestingly enough, the very first comic book store I started shopping at was called Pee-wee's.
Yeah.
Funny.
Pee Wee's is it's been around a long time, but their crunch coat is full on Rice Krispie treats.
Mm,
I know Miss Jen doesn't do sugar,
no,
but it's worth it.
I could watch other people eat it.
No, but it's worth it. But what's hysterical is going there with that person and watching just the ice cream all over them because it melts faster than you can eat it, and he always orders a large. It's like America's Funniest Home Videos. It's great.
My computer just sent me a message saying, we recommend that you install these updates. It's a BIOS update. They always send me this when I'm in the middle of a conversation or
Well,
something.
that's all right because we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes or so.
Oh, we've gone over again.
So we're into golden time. Should I read the thing?
Read the thing.
Read the thing.
Thank you for watching Nerd News Now, part of the Kingdom of Geekdom on Woodlands Online, sponsored by the Adventure Begins Comics and Space Cadets Collection. Check out our other shows, Woodlands Online. Check out the other shows on Woodlands Online, like Music Cafe, The Adventure Begins Show, The Best You, Between the Trees, Business Talk, Taste Buds, and much more. You can watch all of these on Woodlands Online and on our partner station KVQT HD21 over the air if you're in the right region. All of these shows and more on Roku right now. Search and add Woodlands Online TV to your streaming lineup. Now you can listen to our podcast version of this show on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Pandora, and wherever else fine podcasts are given away for free. So, for Brainy and Miss Jen, I've continued to be a guy who's being haunted by a pumpkin head, aka Kyle. We will see you guys next week.